NASCAR and the Indianapolis Colts. You'll find us on WSLM 97.9 FM and WSLM 1220 AM, along with live streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure and follow us all season for a front row seat and a closer look at high school and regional sports.
And welcome to Coach's Corner. Hey, y'all, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are right here at McDonald's in Salem, Indiana, and we are getting ready to have a spectacular program. Yeah, I am solo tonight. Sounds like to me that I think Nate had a colonoscopy a few weeks ago, and he liked it so much. I think he's having it again. So either that or he's getting like tested for like some prosthetic plastic surgery or something. So could keep him in your prayers. Would be great. So tonight we're going to start out with Coach Fleetwood, and we've got some heck with all of the other schools out of the tournament at this point. You guys are the only ones in here. Welcome, Jeff.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, what?
Set up Wslm.
Let's talk about last week's game. I mean, that was a great game for you guys.
Yeah, it went about as well as we could have hoped. Of course, it was nice to be at home, not have the long bus ride again after coming from Crystal House the week before. Yeah, it was a couple hours on a bus. I'm kind of getting too old for that, I think. But yeah, it was nice. They came to us and got off to a good start. They got the ball to start the game, and our defense came out, set the tone really well. I don't think it was quite a 3-and-out, but they may have picked up a first down or so. But then we settled in and started flying around, playing some defense, and then got them off the field and took the ball right down the field, put it in for a touchdown. And I believe we scored on 6 straight possessions, which didn't punt, only faced 2 third downs all night.
My son, he's the long snapper for Trine, and it's you're watching the game, right? And you sit there watching, you're like, well, they don't have to punt.
Yeah.
Well, we don't get to see Grayson play. Well, guess what? Too bad. We don't want to punt. I'm like, I know we don't want to punt, but and that's a great thing when you don't have to punt. You just continue to just drive that down the field.
Yeah, and I don't think I even realized until the game was over that we had 7 possessions, and on our last one we took a knee. We could have scored one more, but that, out of respect for an opponent, we just ran the clock out, and they had a long enough bus ride home with the beating they got. They came out. I mean, during warm-ups and stuff, they were really. You could tell they really thought they had us. And even early in the game, they were being very chippy and running their mouths and stuff, and we were really proud to see our guys just not buy into any of it, not get caught up in it, just went out and let their play do the talking and crammed it right down their throat. And
so it's easy to do that. It's easy to go out there and let them start running their mouth and go right back at them.
It's hard not to. I mean, human nature.
It enough in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's a trickle down effect. The high school kids watch college and pro ball and they imitate what they see on TV. And that's a battle that coaches have to fight because you can't get away with that stuff in high school.
Absolutely.
And even with the way they wear their uniforms and stuff in college and pros, the officials won't let you do that.
It's a whole different story nowadays than what we used to.
You try to tell
when we were in school,
I mean, even down to the black that they put under their eyes. We've had officials get onto them for having too much of that and things like that. Which I know that they have a job to do, but you can't convince the kids before the game, even though you're telling them, you're like, officials are going to make you wipe that off. And they try to get away with it anyway, So, but yeah, it was a good game for us. We came out, and I think we rushed for we didn't rack up a ton of yards because we had such good starting field position.
Right.
I think we ended up with about 289 yards rushing.
Yeah.
Several guys had big games. Nathan McBride showed up huge again for us and got a couple of scores. Braden Jones had a good game. Our quarterback, Cody Bannett, made some really nice reads on the off of our inside run game. Made a couple pulls and ran in for a score, and I think a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I think Braden Jones had 122 yards. In total run. That's.
Thank you.
And that was he probably could have had a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, and I know McBride it was I made the comment to one of the other coaches on the sideline. I said, Jones is going to get mad if McBride keeps sniping all of his touchdowns because, Braden broke off a couple of big runs, and then we just happened to dial up a different play and hand it to a different kid, and he scores, So, but it was a good, our kids have worked hard this year, and it's really nice to see them get that kind of win.
Right. With looking at some of the and I'm saying this, with all due respect, some of the beatdowns that, you guys are in a huge, you're a 2A school in the MSC. I mean, you're going to get some things that you should not be going to.
Sure.
And, for some of the beatdowns you guys have had, and you guys continue every week to get better and better and better, that's actually, that just shows you the testament of the program you guys have over there.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because Coach Dean was talking after practice today. He pointed out the fact that we could add our enrollment with Salem's and still have like over 100 and some kids less than Silver Creek.
Yeah.
I mean, so people don't realize that football is a numbers game, and the more kids you have in your school, the higher the odds are that you're going to get more numbers out for your team and better probability that you're going to have a good concentration of athletic kids in those numbers. So,
well, let's face it, Silver Creek and Charlestown, they're getting all the kids.
Well, I won't comment on that, but they're getting them from somewhere.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, it's a testament to our kids. We don't have a ton of them, but they're tough and they play hard and they give you what they got every week, and that's all you can ask as a football coach is to go out there and they throw their bodies around and do the best they can with what we got, and we're really happy that we came out with 5 wins this year, which is equals the highest number of wins Eastern's ever had in a season.
Right.
We'd love to get one more Friday and have that one out right.
You're playing in November, baby. You're the only one playing in November.
Well, and we keep telling the kids, we realize that we're facing a really tough opponent Friday night. We aren't sugarcoating that.
I mean, let's look at some of their stats. I mean, their quarterback, has 231 passing yards. Eastern's not a passing team. Of course. I mean, I think that would be, that's something that with what Eastern can do is just to make sure that those running backs and those make sure that you play to that.
Sure.
They don't. According to what I'm seeing here, they don't run the ball a lot.
No, well, I think they like to throw. They look like on film they're a spread team. They like to spread you out and run a lot of passing, spread passing stuff concepts, and we don't see a ton of that around here. You don't see that many teams that just like to line up and throw the ball. But on film, they have shown the ability to run pretty well. They got a real fast running back that looks like a good athlete. They like to run outside zone type stuff, primarily, and they're athletic all over the field. I mean, there's a reason they've been ranked 1 or 2 in the state all season in 2A.
Right.
The quarterback is a senior. We faced him in sectional 2 years ago when he was a sophomore. So we're aware of what he can do. He
wasn't a senior then, and he's held him back.
I don't know how they pulled it off, but he's a good quarterback. He's really, if you can keep him in the pocket, we feel like if we can box him in and keep him, he throws exceptionally well on the run. And he's a threat with his legs a little bit too. So
that outside contain would be like amazing right now.
He really is deadly on film from what we saw. He really is lethal once he gets out, breaks contain and throws on the run or makes plays with his legs. So we've been talking a lot this week about we've got to keep him boxed in and get a little pressure in his face. He's shown on film that he doesn't really seem to like the pressure right in his face too much.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're hoping to get accomplished is just try to shut down some of that passing game before it can get started a little bit.
Yeah. Now with this, we all know what's going to come to an end. What kind of things does Eastern do at the end of the season? I mean, I know you guys have a banquet.
Yeah, we'll have a team awards banquet and stuff like that. One neat tradition that we have that the kids kind of head up on their own is after when it's all said and done, the seniors all kind of go out on the field one last time after the game's over, and they lock arms and they just walk the field down and back together, and just kind of, because most of these kids have played together since 3rd grade.
Right, absolutely.
And we're not really thinking about the end, I guess. That's not something we're focused on. I think we got a puncher's chance. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's what we keep telling the kids is, they're good. They're a good team. We play Brownstown, they beat Brownstown, so we know that they're capable of playing pretty good ball.
Yeah, I mean, their record's 10-1.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they play a good
I
schedule.
don't really ever put much into everybody's record just because, depending on who they play, one, and number two, looking at, I'm more of a stats guy that goes up there, what do they look like when it comes to, their runs, their passes, and things like that. When it comes to a record, I see a record as, let's look at your record. Your record is, 5-6, and that means nothing to me just because you look at what Easter's accomplished from week 1.
Yeah, we play a pretty rough schedule.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you guys, and I say it again, you guys play, Silver Creek, and you play the MSC. Let's face it, it's one of the roughest, as in like divisions in the state of Indiana.
Top to bottom, there's not really an easy out in that conference.
Right. I mean, you're 2A, Salem's 3A, Silver Creek's 4A.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I think Charlestown should be 7A. It's the bottom.
Well, I mean, even the teams year to year, there's really not there's usually one or two teams that are, Brownstown, Charlestown are usually right up there at the top, maybe North Harrison, that are always kind of gunning for first place. But even the rest of the, from there on down doesn't get a whole lot easier.
Right.
And even us, we like to think, we've suffered some lopsided losses against some of those teams, but at the same time, we find a way to be competitive most weeks, and that's something we kind of hang our hat on. Is look, we're in a rough conference, but you still got to go out and play on Friday nights. I mean,
right.
So if you want to be the king of the hill, you got to find a way to the top, right?
Now, you guys playing at home this weekend?
Yes, we are. We're lucky we got them at home, so they've got a nice long bus ride.
Yeah.
And we keep trying to get the kids to understand that hey, it's a sectional championship. Anything can happen.
That's right. The last couple of days have been we've had some pretty brutal cold, but it looks like Friday night's weather is phenomenal.
It's going to be a good night for football, and like I said, watching them on tape, they're not invincible. We're not playing, Ohio State.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. They're just high school kids, and we're trying to get our kids to understand that it doesn't really matter. You got to line up and hit them in the mouth and see what happens.
That's right, because when it comes right down to it, when you start that, and I've seen it over and over again where kids get off the bus and they're already beat.
Sure.
And this way they're coming off the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And having them at home, on your home turf.
Well, I expect them to be looking past us a little bit. I mean, they ranked number 1 in the state, and
hopefully, I've seen it where you've had teams come out and go, we got this. We don't even need to practice this week. We're not going to do anything. They come out and they get their hind ends handed to them. That's what we're hoping.
We're signing up. That'd be okay with us if they forget off the bus, forget to get off the bus for the first couple quarters.
Exactly.
We're going to try to end it out, slow the pace of the game down, limit possessions. That's there again, trying to get the kids to understand this isn't the kind of team we're going to try and stand toe to toe and go in a shootout.
Right.
They've got a lot of weapons and a lot of depth, and we need to take the approach that we need to move the chains, get first downs, eat the clock, and try to keep it close and put the pressure's all on them.
Right.
They're the favorites.
Right. Well, and with looking at how the game is actually played, is in like they're passing the ball. I always said when you're a running team, you control the clock.
Sure.
And the passing teams, they don't really control the clock. So that's what you got to do as a running team, control that clock. So that way, when it comes right down to it, you have controlled the whole game.
Yeah. Well, and that's that's kind of what we're aiming to do is like I said, just sort of sometimes the best offense is a good defense, and just keep their offense on the sideline and grind the clock. I mean, we feel like hopefully we can move the ball on them. We got our offensive line's been playing really well the last couple weeks. Kind of getting back into our bread and butter stuff of just blowing guys off the ball, moving them back, and running the ball right at them. we hope that we don't know. There again, you can watch film, but you don't know how physical of teams they face week in and week out. So we're planning on coming out and trying to be as physical as we can and say, hey, we're maybe small, but we're a bunch of rough country boys from Pekin, and you're gonna have to beat us. You're gonna have to beat us to get out of here with a win. So
we want to see the stats of their punter go way up on Friday night. We don't even want our punter, he's watching, even showing up.
Well, and we, their quarterback's going to play college. I'm not sure exactly where, but he's going somewhere on scholarship. He's
maybe he'll visit them on Friday night, and he won't be there.
Well, their second on tape, their second string guy doesn't look great. So that's something else we kind of been seating in the back of the kids' mind a little bit. Is like, hey, you never know. This big college kid twists an ankle or something, and he's on the sideline. Then he's not going to be slinging the ball all over the field.
True.
So
that is true.
Not that we wish anybody injury.
We don't want anybody injured.
No.
We want them hurt, but we don't.
We just want to go. Like I said, we just want to come out and give our best effort. And that's the other thing you preach to the kids is, look, win, lose, or draw, you got to go out there. Coach Dean mentioned it today at practice that you're going to remember this game for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to remember the win and loss part. You just got to remember that you left everything you had out on the field.
That's right.
Let the rest take care of itself. But you don't want to look back in it when you're on it when you're my age and think, well, man, our hearts weren't in it.
Right.
And that's something that it's so different now than it was when I played because there was no social media. Right. And pretty much the only information you got about your upcoming opponent came from the coaches.
Right.
So they were able to control that narrative a little bit. And even if they didn't think we had a chance, they were selling it hard that it was going to be a good game.
Yeah. I remember Austin sitting there yelling. I remember Borka. Coach Borka, I remember he told us one time, he's like, listen, because you didn't hear this from me, but you get it down and you didn't hear it from me.
Yeah.
And it's like, he said that because he wanted your meanest.
Yeah.
And that's in a game like what you're getting ready to go into.
You need to turn it into a bugbear.
Yeah.
Who wants it more?
That doesn't mean fighting on the field, but it means
nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but
you just putting it out there. You've got to make sure that everything, when you get done, you go home that night and you just go to bed and you're out for until 12 o'clock the next day because you put that much effort into it.
Well, and that's I work with the line a lot, and that's something I've been in their ear about. Is like, look, I don't care how good they are. If we go out there and execute fundamentally, if you block and you drive guys off the ball, we got running backs that can carry the football. And we can move the ball and we can score points.
Right.
If same thing on defense, you go out there and you break down and you tackle and you play your assignment and you do what you can. Let the rest take care of itself.
Absolutely.
It's a four quarter ball game. They got, like I said, they're coming all the way from close to Cincinnati to get here, so they're going to be on the bus for a while and
hopefully they sleep all the way down.
Yeah. I hope somebody feeds them a really big meal right before they get here. I hope they
eat meatloaf, mashed potatoes, maybe some turkey.
But either way, we just want to come out and play with pride and play with some, and play with a maximum effort and not too worry too much about what else happens. Just let the rest take care of itself.
Right.
Because this time of year, we're the first ones to make, first team from Eastern to make it to a sectional championship. That's something, that the kids can be proud of.
Absolutely.
We would like to close it out with a victory. But either way, they've played, like you said, we're the last team standing in November in the county.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that they can kind of be proud of. They've had some really good some of the kids have racked up some really impressive stats and had really good seasons. And as a team, we've, you always kind of want to peak at this right time.
Right.
And I feel like, the last 2 weeks, I think Luke said we scored 93 points and something crazy like 800 and some odd yards on offense.
Oh, that's all.
And so there's no reason that we shouldn't expect to go out and keep that going.
Right.
Because, we got some big kids on the O-line. We've been running this same playbook for the last few years with them. They know what we're doing. We're not trying to get anything too tricky or fancy this time of year. We're just kind of going to do what we do.
Backdrop football.
Yeah, and we're going to line up and we're going to see if we can beat you physically.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
And, the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. Well, Chad, man, it's great talking to you, and hope to talk to you next week.
Sure.
Sometimes talking to you is my solution. Luke, he doesn't go on. He doesn't, when we talk, we talk more like, when Luke talks, it's like, he talks so fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I didn't get half of that, but I know it was important.
Yeah. Luke's been doing it a long time.
Yes.
And he knows more about football he's forgot more about football than I could probably ever learn, but, he makes it a point to get all of the coaching staff involved in coming and being on the radio, and I think that's really says a lot about his style as a coach. He's not a dictator of a head coach. He wants all of us to have some ownership of what we're doing, and I appreciate that. It makes the job a lot more fun whenever you know that he holds. He has expectations of what he wants me to do,
right? And
at the same time, he wants us all to kind of cherish the chance to contribute to what the whole project.
Right.
It's I've been around some head coaches who are what I would call sort of a dictator, or their ego gets in the way of a lot of team success, coach staff success,
Yeah.
and that's never any fun. So it's great to work for a guy who really wants everybody to grow as a coach.
Right. Funny story about Luke is, we started the youth football league, and we had, all the high school coaches from all the teams,
mm-hmm.
And when there was ever a decision that was actually made, and they were like, okay, well, who's going to write that down? Who's going to actually, we all looked at Luke, because we knew he was already writing everything down, he did all the notes, and I'm going, you know what, that just shows you how smart of a guy
sure.
Because he already had it all wrote down.
Oh, I was a youth coach for the past 4 years. I didn't have to this year. I shouldn't say have to. I didn't this year because my son moved on to middle. I didn't get to.
Yeah.
But I did my duty for a spell there doing youth stuff when my son was in the program, and I went to a couple of those meetings. And it's funny because we get down there and nothing against Charlestown per se, but it always seems like they're coaches who want to pull out new rules.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
On the fly.
Yes. Or on the field.
Yeah, on the field. And it's funny to be there, and Luke pull out his cell phone and scroll through the notes that he's got. No, look, right here on this meeting, this is what we decided on. And they always, the other coaches always seem so deflated whenever he's got it in writing that.
Exactly.
No, we said linebackers were at 5 and, or whatever, and no blitzing. And so it's, he's fun to work with. He is. And, Brad Moore and Austin Roberts and Brant Ferris is on our staff this year. It's nice to have the younger guys bring that youthful energy. I'm the elder statesman on the staff by a few years. And then, I know it does. And the kids let me know about it all the time at practice too. So, but it's coaching something that is its own reward. You know what I mean? Like, you get paid a little bit, but it doesn't really add up to much by the end of the year by the time you drive back and forth to practice and all that stuff. But it's neat to see the kids progress and get better and try to teach them a little bit about life. They won't always listen to you about it, but absolutely. I'm hoping somewhere down the road, one of them, finds himself. Yeah. Hey, Coach Fleetwood told me that one time.
Told me that.
So that's kind of the goal, long range. You teach them a lot about football, and you hope to get them to learn a little bit about life along the way.
Right. All right, Chad, man, appreciate you coming out and
Thank you.
talking to me tonight. And hey, hopefully we talk next week, and we'll let hopefully you'll have that W and that championship under the list.
Hey, we're gonna give it a heck trying.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Hey, we'll be right back. We're gonna take a couple commercial breaks, and we'll be back. Bye.
Are you shopping for a new home or looking to refinance at today's interest rates? FirstHarrisonMortgage.com should be the next stop in your rate shopping, and it might just be your last. First Harrison Mortgage offers aggressive rates for first-time home buyers, as well as VA, FHA, USDA, and conventional mortgages. You can even get pre-qualified now to know how much home you can afford. Visit FirstHarrisonMortgage.com today. Equal housing lender.
New babies, sports physicals, 3D mammograms, primary care, pediatrics, oncology, advanced orthopedics, lung screenings, and surgery. For From providing community health services to performing the most innovative procedures, the exceptional doctors, nurses, and staff at Schneck have been caring for friends, families, and neighbors for over 100 years. Schneck. Healthy together.
Schneck is the only Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services 5-star hospital in South Central Indiana.
And welcome back. Hey, everybody. We're live right here at McDonald's for Coach's Corner, and where the cheeseburgers are always hot and the ice cream machine seems to still not work. So, if you want to go get some ice cream, no, but get a cheeseburger. So, hey, we're right here with Coach Gleason. How you doing, Coach?
Doing all right. You know, it's never any fun to count equipment and send the gear off to the reconditioner, but that's what we've been doing all week, and but it is what it is.
Absolutely,
but we you know, it was a good year for us.
What
I
a
think.
game, man! I listened to that game, and I mean, I was rooting every single bit of the way, because I was going, you get down and then you tied it up at the end. I mean, and I know when you look at it, okay, well, yeah, you tied it up at the end. That doesn't tell the story of that game. Tell us the story of that game.
Well, we got off to a good start again. It was kind of an identical game to our first one. We got up 14-0 on them, and then got a couple big plays, and then got a turnover. So we were up 14-0, and then of course their running game got going, and they got it back to 14-14, and then I think at half it was 21-14 them, and then they went back and forth a little bit. In the second half, they got up 28-14, and then they kicked the field goal to make it 31-14 with about, I don't remember, 7, 8 minutes left to go in the game. And then we drove it down and scored, made it 31-21, and tried the onside kick and nearly got it, but we did not get it. And but then our defense held them, they had a 4th and long, and Evan Bowling probably made the play, one of the greatest football plays I've ever seen in my coaching career. Is they blocked a punt. We hadn't really practiced, blocking punts all year, and it was just an individual play for him, and he did it. Then he scooped it and scored it to make it 31-28.
What's the video on that, Coach? Was like, he smacked the ball, reached out to him. He was gone.
It was a great football play, and I hope he will remember that for the rest of his life. And then he comes back and recovered. And Johnny had a great onside kick, Johnny Talley, and recovered by Evan. Evan got the kick. So then we got the ball at the 50-yard line and moved it just enough to get in Johnny Talley's range, and he hit I think it was school record 43-yard field goal as time basically as time expired. I think there was a few seconds left, but but it tied the game, and then put it in overtime, and it didn't work out for us in overtime. But
let's talk about Evan for a moment.
Yeah.
And I've read it for a week.
Right.
So I want everyone to understand what kind of young man, Evan is, when it comes to the football program.
Yep.
He's number 1 in tackles in the state for 3A.
Yeah.
Number 3 all around.
Right.
Now, here's the one that gives me cold chills. He's a little goosebumps.
Yeah.
Number 14 in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, there needs to be recruiters lined up wanting him, because I'm going to tell you, to have those kind of numbers, that is the most impressive thing I've seen in Salem High School ever. He
seemed like he's making, we grade the film on Saturday mornings. That's when we record the tackles and assist, and it's probably the most common statement we say as the coaches, and we say, Evan Bowling with the tackle, and he gets to chart it on it, we get to chart it. Evan Bowling with the tackle, and he did a great job at the outside linebacker spot. He's one of those guys that you could just put anywhere. He could be a middle backer, he could be an outside backer, he could be a nose guard, he could be a defensive end, he could be a free safety, he could be a corner,
right?
And he's going to excel. That's just he's just a great all-around football player. And then of course he's never coming off the field. I mean, he's on offense too.
Oh yeah,
carrying the ball and blocking and doing a lot of things in our offense to get that going. And then of course then the special teams play on the punt was huge, and then the onside kick. So I mean, we do a thing called effort points at where we just they can earn points throughout the game, for tackles or tackle for loss or breakup pass or whatever. They get certain points for it, and by far he's our top point getter, and just a great all around football player, and one of the best I've ever coached as far as a head coach. And like I said, you could put him anywhere, and he's gonna get the job done. And
it looks like whenever you watch him play, and and his brother, and I don't know if you ever watched his brother play, but I mean his brother was very similar when it comes to it's like it was almost psychic. He knew where the ball was going.
He has great instincts.
As soon as that ball was snapped, he was there.
He's got great football instincts, and you can't teach that. That's he's just instinctual on the football field, whether it's reading a defense or keying or going making plays. It's like on our defense we talk about you do your job, you read your key, you do your job, and then you go play football.
Right.
Then you go play football and that's him. He plays football, right. And he does his job and then goes plays football, go make plays, and he basically did that all year long. And he's going to be a tough one to replace as we start looking into next year. But I'm excited for the way it ended for him. I mean, no, we didn't win the game, and it was heartbreaking the way it ended. But the heart, you could just see the heart and guts, and I think that's going to. Our seniors probably don't realize it yet, but what they did this year, and to get us to 3 wins, and we had 2 games where we lost in the last second, either in overtime or on a field goal, has brought some excitement to Salem, and I think they're going to see down the road what this year it was going to pay off for us.
The wins and losses, to me, it's important. I know that when you look at a record, you can't just, I know a lot of people say, oh, it's wins and losses. No. If you only knew with where you started, and I know where you started, coming to a new program in July to where, that program, you had to teach those kids a lot in a short amount of time, and then go from where you were at to now, it's completely a different story.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Right.
There's many offenses you can run. You can run spread. You can run flex bone, triple option, power eye, wing tee, spread wing tee, shotgun wing tee. Right. I mean, so there's just a number of things you can do, and they all can be successful. It doesn't matter. That's just the way it is. And the same defensively. You can run a 4-3, a 4-4, a 3. I mean, you could and have different philosophies, and they could all be successful. And but we brought in a philosophy that we think is going to fit Salem High School and what we think, and it takes a while to teach and to get the things you want the way you want it. Our offense, has got new terminology. There's a lot of terminology, a lot of blocking schemes, a lot of things that are new, and it probably didn't start clicking for us until about midway through the year, where we start realizing, hey, we can do this. Whereas week 1 or the scrimmage, it's still very confusing to everyone, and so that's sort of time. Time solves a lot of problems as far as teaching, and it's one of those things where now, as we go into the off season and we go into next year, there's not going to everything they learn this year, it applies next year. It's not, there's not going to be hardly any changes as far as terminology goes. There might be a couple tweaks here and there, but to fix some things. But the terminology is all going to be there, and now they're all veterans. like I said, at the beginning of this year, everybody was a rookie. And now everybody's a veteran, except for our incoming, our incoming new players to the program. They'll be the true rookies, and now we'll have veterans that will be able to help and teach and do those things. Whereas this year, everyone was a rookie.
Right, and looking at what who's coming into the program, you got, you've got all those kids from 8th grade just I know the chomp of bits at the high school. Because they always are. Every 8th grader you ever talk to is like, I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to get there. And then when they get there, they're like, oh, we're here. But even looking at the JV that's going to be coming in to the program, I know you're losing 5 seniors and Johnny Talley.
Right.
So, and I want to focus on Johnny Talley for a second. I mean, the school record, 43-yard field goal. There was another time. So when in 1988, this is going back quite a few years, there was a guy that was on the team named Jimmy Strange. Jimmy Strange tore his ACL at the beginning of the season and came out and hobbled out on the field on crutches, I think. Kicked the winning field goal for the team. So the only other field goal person that I know that has played at Salem that was actually memorable was Johnny Talley and Jimmy Strange.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of other ones in between there.
Right.
But I can't. But to see what Johnny's done. So Friday night after the game, I was in Walmart and it was about to close, and I looked up and here comes Johnny Talley. and I looked at him and I had this big smile on my face. I gave him a hug and I said, "The school record, man. I mean, that was amazing." And he's that kid, man, that I know whenever I see him, I talk to him, and he's just a genuine good kid.
Yeah, one of the best, athletes in the school.
Yeah.
I mean, not only did he kick he's got school records in 2 sports.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
same season.
Yeah.
Soccer and football. And and what was great about the field goal, it wasn't a meaningless field goal. We didn't trot him out there to kick a meaningless field goal. It was the game on the line. The game was on the line. And, what was cool about that, was just a few weeks earlier, we were in the same position.
Right.
And we got the kick blocked. But what was cool a few weeks later is that everything worked. We blocked, everyone blocked. Snap was good by Noah Dalton. The hold was good by Braxton Dean. And the kick was great by Johnny. And so in 3 or 4 weeks' time, we got that problem fixed. Another thing about Johnny, it's got to be a school record. I don't know all the records. He didn't miss an extra point all year. I think he was 20. I don't know what, a 21 out of 21 all year long on extra points. And then field goal wise, I know obviously he got the one block to Pekin, and then we tried a long one at Brownstown. It was probably a 50 yard, close to 50 yard field goal, and he left it just a little short. So everything he did, and then touchbacks. We're not even talking about the the kickoffs.
Right.
The West Washington game was a huge weapon. Kicking the ball in the end zone or kicking the ball deep was huge. And then in our last game against Scottsburg, same way. And then he had 2 great onside kicks. That one of them we didn't get, and the other one we did get. So they were perfect. And that's I can't say enough about him. And he's also a great student in the classroom. Just a great all-around kid, as you said.
Yeah. When Johnny was, I talked to Johnny, I talked to him on the air, and he said, well, I want to focus on my studies.
Yep.
And the reason he said that is, I asked him, I'm like, why did you say that to me? He goes, because I'm not that good. That's what he said to me, Coach. And I said, and I told him the other night, I said, I told you was that good. And he goes, I never thought I was. I said, man, you need to go somewhere with this.
Yeah,
because this is definitely something you can take.
Very humble and very, his priorities are in the right place. But we're going to work on it. We're going to work on getting him somewhere to play college football if that's what he wants to do, or any of our seniors if that's what they want to do. It's my job now to get them where they need to be, or if that's what they so choose.
Absolutely.
There's a place out there for an Evan Bowling. There's a place out there for a Johnny Talley or anybody. College football is an interesting thing because you got different levels. Everyone thinks the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Division Ones, but there's plenty of small college football, and that's great.
Right.
I play Division III football. I know your son plays Division III football. What a great way to continue, playing the great game of football, but also getting your education where where it's not life or death like it might be in Division I level.
Exactly.
Where you're still getting to play the great game. You're getting coached, by great coaches, and you're enjoying the camaraderie, and you get everything that football has to offer.
Right.
That we all love. Why we love this game. So it's not just those two guys, and it's not even just Salem guys or our future guys or whatever. There's a place out there to play college football.
Absolutely.
Every college is looking for players.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're going to work on that for those guys as we continue into the winter and the recruiting months.
Right. So looking at the off season, are there any changes that you've been here through a season? So are there any changes that you're looking to make at the beginning of next year? Or?
No, not really. I think we'll do a lot more in the spring and summer than what we've done this past year, just because of logistics.
Right.
Because I was traveling and finishing up my contract where I was at. So logistically, we're going to do more. But we, probably the biggest goal for us as we talked as a team Saturday morning is we got to get bigger, faster, stronger. We have to. Our weight room scores have to go up. Our test scores have to go up. And I want each one of our players to set those goals. We got to have more, 200-pound bench pressers. We got to have more 300-pound squatters or whatever the number we set. And as a young football team, for the most part, what we got pushed around a little bit throughout the year, and we've got to, get that going, and with our APC program and things like that, we will. It'll take time. I think you'll see a bigger, faster, stronger football team next fall when we start in August or whenever we start.
I've talked to several people about what you've done this year, and I've talked to people who've known you for a long time, and they've all said the same thing. They've all said, Coach Gleasing makes you a beast in the weight room. And I think, looking back on the last 4 years that, my son was in high school, looking at what Gavin's doing now, it's 100% correct. Because I don't care if you're 125 pounds and the guy on the other side of the line is 125 pounds, if you can bench more than he can, you're going to be able to move him around better than what he's going to be able to move you. So, just, with what I've heard about you and the things that you've done, and in the past, and what you can bring to Salem, I think it's a huge advantage. And I'm excited about next year what you're going to do with Salem. Any thoughts on over the summer? I mean, is there here's something I've always wondered. So, looking at over the summer, or even after school, after the season's over, you get January all the way to the end of May. Is there a possibility of having a class that says, okay, we're gonna teach you some things about football?
Well, the IHSAA allows open period.
Not physical.
Yeah, it's still you can't. There's still some things you can't really. You got to wait till that open period that the IHSA allows, and most of our kids play other sports. What our kids doing basketball, wrestling, baseball. Now, when we get to the open period, we'll do maybe an evening in the gym, if they're depending on weather, whatever we got, and do some things like that. But yeah, you're right. There's things you can't, just teaching football. Just teaching football. And a lot of things like our terminology. Our terminology, is going to be, it's going to be, new to our newcomers, and we can do a lot with our incoming freshmen. Because they're not part of the IHS, they won't be. So eighth graders aren't considered ninth graders till school starts. So you can do a lot more with them, and we're still working on our plan of what we're going to do as we go to the winter and spring with some of those guys coming in as freshmen, In the past, at places I've been, we've done like a freshman orientation, like a 4-week deal or a 4-day deal where, we teach them the terminology, they run through our basic stuff, and that way they're ready to go come summertime. So there's a lot of things that we can do like that, that we can. But mainly we're going to focus on strength and conditioning between now and for basically August 1st or whenever we start. It's going to be our number one focus.
Yeah.
Number two is, football fundamentals as far as, but number one is absolutely strength and conditioning, not only because you can push people, we need to push people around a little bit more, but also injury prevention.
Absolutely.
Injury prevention is a big deal, and that's I firmly, when I took the job, I said, somebody asked me what kind of offense will you run? I said we're going to run a weight room offense.
Yeah.
And that's basically we've started lifting in June with our program, and so it's June, July, August, September, October. We're 5 months in.
Right.
So we're not even half a year. We haven't even been doing it for a half a year.
Yeah.
So we've got a long way to go, but I'm excited about what the future holds.
Are you bringing the 7th and 8th graders over now?
Not yet. We will. Like I said, after Thanksgiving is when we'll start our after school workouts.
Now, is it going to be for 7th and 8th graders?
Any middle school, high school athlete, boy, girl, we'll have it open Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays after school. And of course, let our kids play other sports. That comes first. But if they're not doing a sport, we'll expect them at our work. We ask them to make 2 of those workouts a week. Sure. And then a lot of our, like I said, most of my kids I've got on the football team are in my class in APC, and we work out 50 minutes a day every day.
Right. Now, looking at some of the other players that are actually coming up to be a senior next year, you got Adam Maul, you got Noah coming up. I think they're going to be a lot more, ready to go.
Yeah, I think, like I said,
Seth Palmsford, you've got Brady Briscoe. Those 5 guys right there. I mean, they've known the program for a long time. They love football.
Right.
I mean, seeing some of the things that Adam's been able to do basically in his first year, full time, as a starter playing football.
Right.
I think is a great thing with
I expect those guys will be great leaders as we go forward. They know the program now. They know how things work. They know how we run practice. They know how to play, how we run offense, what we do on defense. They know everything. They know how it works now. So anybody that's new to the program can listen to those guys.
Right.
And they're going to tell them how it is.
That's right.
And that's a big deal as we go forward.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Coach, it's great talking to you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thanks for...
Look forward to next year.
Well, I appreciate every Wednesday night coming here and talking about our kids and football.
You're the only one that's brought kids in this year, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, I think that's, hopefully next year we'll continue to do that. I'm the new guy around here, so but I appreciate McDonald's and everything they've done for Coach's Corner. I appreciate you guys for everything covering our sports. But I'm excited about our off season. Looking forward to next year, and I'm excited about watching our kids play other sports.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I look forward to talking to you next year, and I'm sure I'll talk to you before the end.
Sounds good.
Thank
you.
Hey, and I'll tell you what, we will be right back. I'm going to go ahead and take a commercial break and be right back.
Are you shopping for a new home or looking to refinance at today's interest rates? FirstHarrisonMortgage.com should be the next stop in your rate shopping, and it might just be your last. First Harrison Mortgage offers aggressive rates for first-time home buyers, as well as VA, FHA, USDA, and conventional mortgages. You can even get pre-qualified now to know how much home you can afford. Visit FirstHarrisonMortgage.com today. Equal housing lender.
If you're looking for the best Mexican food, stop in today at El Camino in Salem. And don't forget to stop in before the game or come in up until 10 p.m. on Friday or Saturday. Come in during lunch for great specials during the week starting at just $5.65. The Speedy Gonzalez for $5.65. A taco lunch, $5.65. The quesadilla or enchilada lunch for just $5.65. Or try your choice of lunch fajitas for $9.95. Or the burrito zapada. New menu coming soon at El Camino in Salem. And they're hiring servers. Weekly specials include Tuesday's taco special. Buy 3, get 1 free. And Sundays, kids' meals are half price. Whether you stop in before or after the game, El Camino's is something for everyone in the family. Open till 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and weekdays 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Stop in at 403 South Main Street in Salem, or call ahead at 812-586-0199 for carryouts.
And we're back, and I'm live. Well, I'm live. I don't know if Nate is or not. I mean, Nate's like, he said he had a fever, so he's gonna get better. But I know he has his inspiration every Wednesday night, and I don't really have any of that. So my final thoughts on this season is, we as parents, we go through this every year when it comes to the end of the season, and when it comes to our kids saying, I hate that it's over, I can't believe that it's over, and they have to turn equipment in, and we've had with two of our schools in the county, we've had basically that's happened to us. So it's important to know what they're going through. I can't say that I know what they're going through to the standpoint of I've been there. I didn't get to play much in high school at all, but my kids, I put all this focus into my kids and watching them play and put their heart and soul into something. And then when it's done and they have to turn that equipment in, whether it's the first time of their high school career or it's their last time of their high school career, their first time is a little bit easier, but their last time is extremely hard. And I know it's hard for them, but it's extremely hard for their parents as well, because you put a lot of time and effort into those kids to go into every game, fixing the scrapes, the bruises, and making sure that the ankles are better, and making sure that they're getting they're keeping their grades up so they can play that next week. It's extremely important for us parents that support those kids, and whether it's supporting their kids of going, okay, well, I'm going to do all this stuff for you, but the biggest thing I want to tell everybody is you need to support them when it comes to not just them, because regardless of the amount of kids you have on a football team, all of those kids need to be supported not just by their parents, but by all the parents. When it comes to looking at feeding the kids, when it comes to cheering them on Friday night, it's not just about dropping your kids off saying, hey, you're going to be my babysitter for an hour and a half. No, it's about getting in there and putting the effort in to helping any way you can. I know when there was a time when I had parents actually coming up to me going, and I would tell them, hey, you need to stand here when I was coaching. Because and those parents are there to support the kids. I want everyone to understand that these kids need more support now than ever, because when they're a senior and they turn that equipment in for the last time, that's it for a lot of these kids. And I'm fortunate enough to know that my son actually went to Trine, and he's actually playing football up there. I say that, and a lot of people might think, well, I'm bragging on my kid. I kind of am bragging on my kid. But also knowing that he's actually going to get to play the sport that me and him have fell in love with over the years is extremely important for his sake. Not for mine. It's for him, because he's still part of that team. He's still part of a team. It's not about just being the individual. It's about being a part of a team. And when I tell people that when you look at all the programs in our county, I want everyone to understand that these programs are what your kids are going to remember for the rest of your life. And I say that because I know there's people here still in Salem that still remember every single moment of the every single game they played in high school. But the most important game they played was the last. they do play their last one, to know that this doesn't have to be it. You know, I talk to, you know, a lot of these kids, you know, after the games and, you know, wins and losses. I look at, you know, when you look at what they're doing next. I always ask, you know, well, what's your thoughts after high school? Understand that these kids have got to have a future, and whether it's going to college, you know, the workforce or whatever, that's what football teaches. Football teaches a lot of life skills a lot of people don't understand. So I want to wrap this up tonight, and I want everyone to know that this has been an absolute blast this year, talking to these coaches. Kind of started, you know, about halfway through the season, but I can tell you that the time that I've spent with these coaches means a lot to me. The time that I get to spend with the kids means a lot to me, and I appreciate what they do, and I hope that everyone that is listening tonight, I hope that everybody that actually has a kid in a sport puts as much passion into their kid as what their kid needs to put in that sport. So, thank y'all for listening, and as always, I say, watch out for deer. Good night, everybody.